Okay, I'm back. This thing's almost bifaced. Well, except for this stuff. Yeah, so anyway, I don't remember what I was talking about. I think I was talking about, I've been wanting to spring this on y'all for some time. I'm not sure as an influencer if I'm required to be streaming or not. But the way that I've decided to deal with that issue is that I am streaming, like right now. It's just not live. I mean, this video stuff is going right into my 4th generation high-end cell phone with a sparkly case. And from there, it will go directly to where you're watching it from, which is your tube. But I've been trying to figure out a way. I just realized that I might get an even better reception in some lithic circles if I was like independently wealthy. So I've been thinking about like monetizing what I'm doing by, like, voluntarily, of course, getting y'all to send me fairly substantial amounts of, well, we're going to call them, it's going to be a virtual currency. And I haven't worked out all the details yet, but I figured if I create my own virtual currency at the same time as all the lithic influencing and stuff goes, that there's probably a way to monetize the monetization of things. And so along those lines, I need some comments from y'all as to what to go with for a name for the virtual currency. I was thinking maybe something like freeze bucks or freeze bits or freeze flakes. You can call it freeze flakes. Dang, that was a bad idea. Dang, that was a worse idea. See? Y'all are not being very helpful. I need to get rid of all this anyway. I'm making a Gary drill, so I don't need all this extra flint. I could use it to make freeze flakes from. Got crushed because it was just, I was hitting on sanded cortex. What's the point in that, right? I just had a moment of clarity where I actually thought about the rock. And that was pretty special right there. I was gonna do that from the other side, but then I wondered if I could do it from that side. But that hump hinges from here, I took it off from over there with a fairly thin flake. So, which brings up the other point is I was gonna, on the monetization stuff, like try and get kind of like a sponsorship, you know, where instead of walking X number of miles, I like get money for good flakes. So like I'll be flaking along, and every so often, when I do something that's good, I will point out the fact that I did something that would be like, well, that was a good one right there. And that would be the cue for everybody to open that cup holder thing on the front of your computer and put a generous amount of freeze bucks in it. And just send it my direction. She was telling me that it's raining all around here, so I could break and run and head for the hills at any moment. Just so you know, there's absolutely no reason that I'm shooting these long distance shots. What if I were to make a Clovis out of this? How many freeze flake bucks would that be worth? I'm always hearing ego vehicles around here lately. But I never see them. Of course, I'm not out driving around with them, so. Okay, so see, this is what happens, and sometimes you get to this kind of point, and then you just continue to pick at those tapered, thin edges where you don't have very good ridges, and you wonder why you're getting all kind of hinges, short hinges, and everything like that. And the answer is because this particular form is not good for getting at all the thickness in the middle. The thickness in the middle, if you will look at my fingers, is approximately a skosh under, what's a good measurement? Closer to 3/4 of an inch than half an inch. I would say, in looking at this, that it is exactly 13.5 millimeters thick. That is really thick. And unless you're wanting to make something that has a 1-to-1 width to thickness ratio, or a 1-to-2 width to thickness ratio, or I don't know. I don't understand ratios any better than I understand that virtual streaming stuff. So let me show you if you're in a hurry and you want to make a Gary drill or an agate basin, let me show you how to do that, okay? Now, you hopefully will notice something, or hopefully you did notice something. I was hitting straight down, and I did not have this down on the pad. So, what that means is, in theory, I beveled it, beveled this, and beveled that. So it's beveled. But the end result is, when you bevel that much down, when you flip it like you're gonna hit, usually your edge is too low to get good flakes. So, having done all that, I take a coarser braiders and straight down or even tilted slightly backwards, and just do this number to take off the sharp edges. So then I flip it and carefully, without too much pressure on it, do it the opposite direction to raise that back up a little bit. Now, I will tell you, if you cannot then handle what you did, then don't do it, because you intentionally lost length and got back extreme thickness at the edge. And I mean, if you don't know what to do with that, once you do it, then don't do it. So now, if you actually do that, you have a choice, because you can either go back to a bunch of direct percussion, or if you've gotten it in close enough where you think you can meet in the middle with your flakes or overlap some stuff or whatever, you could try and do indirect. But it's still really thick. Of course, at some point you'd like to straighten up your base and everything too. What to do, what to do. I think I'm going to grab my old big punch and just hit some. Hit some, hit some. I would hinge on purpose because I was taking off some from the end there. When conditions are right, be more aggressive, and when conditions aren't right, be more cautious sometimes with your driving stuff inward. That flake was driven inward and hinged, as was that one, because I still have an enormous amount of thickness. I know it looked like things were going okay, but things are really thick. I'm also getting down into some dry and concretey spots. That's not even taking a flake off there. This is ugly. Yes, it is. See how bad that looks? How much lower that is than that, though. Now, of course, you're like, but Freeze, you can't head back that direction on this edge. Oops. You're correct. But that edge is going to come up. Sorry about that. That may be a deal breaker. Okay. I really don't need that big punch. I'm going to step down to the smaller punch. Because really, you know, there was a number of, I think there was a number of us that were thinking at one point in time that we'd go with the bigger punches, but you discover over time the total mass of what's happening is what matters, not the mass of the bit so much. Okay, so now I got kind of a problem because I really don't want to keep hitting from this side even though things are not turned optimally. So I've done all this, but I'm stopping with a partial run on that thing and switching back to the other side and going ahead. I'm going to run another set to this side. And then after I do that, I'll turn the edge and come back the other way. That was a mega hit. I'm heading into this just to see what'll happen for fun. And It hinged, but I don't really care because it's far enough where I can get it from the other side. Time to probably restart. Right back.